What's up, gang? Doing something a little different on the channel today. We're actually going to do a bit of a shop walk. So David and Karina Graham, they run the Midland Truck Sales 360 sprint car team, and they've been kind enough, pardon me, to let me come and have a sticky beak around their shop. There's some cool ass cars in here, and I know that David, he's got a bit of a history in racing, and I haven't really been able to have a good in-depth talk with him about it. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm just about to pull up to their place, so let's go and have a look. David, thanks for taking some time to talk to us here, mate. Thanks for letting me kind of hang around the shop a little bit here. But I'd like to get your history more than anything else. Can you tell us about your kind of history in racing of any kind?
Well, how it started out was back in about 1998, when I was at the Motorsport Speedway with one of my mates, and I watched this sprint car go around, watched it going around the track, and it was going that fast. I'd seen paint dry faster than that. And I said, I reckon I could do better than that. And he said, I dare you to. So that's what happened. I ended up going and buying a car and a motor. And then I had no idea. I'd never raced anything in my life. So I got in this thing, and I had a farm then, and I had it up there, and I fired it up out in front of the shed. And I drove it around the shed and went, oh no, what have I done? This thing absolutely rips.
Right.
So I built a track in front of my house. And I practiced on it. I actually wore a motor out and I was practicing on it. And then we went to Mora halfway through the season. The first night we raced, we won from wherever they put us in the field. And then I actually ended up being the highest point scorer for the year at the Motorsport Speedway. I was running half the season. And then we decided after that we'd have to give Claremont a crack, and went down and had a go at that for a couple of years. And then decided after that we'd retire from it. And then in 2009, I think it was, I went back and had another go at it. And then I drove a bit for myself, and I went, no, I'm too old for this crap. So I got Troy Wilson to drive it at the Motorplex.
Does Mora still look like it did at that point?
No, Mora's actually had a few upgrades since then, and they put a bit of banking on it. And then they had Mora got flooded in about 2009 or 10, and they had a fundraiser up there to go and race, to go up there to the Speedway to raise money for the town. So I thought, I'll go and give this a go. So I took two cars up there, and then I looked at the track and I went, oh, the 410. So I took a 410 up there and put it out there, and we got out there, and every 3 laps we lapped the entire field. But sprint cars aren't your only racing history, are they? I'm pretty sure you told me other stories of other things happening. Am I right? Yeah. I had to go in jet boats for a while. You had, I think, what you told me was your kind of worst ever crash in a like. Can you tell us about that? Yeah. Well, I've had 2 good crashes in jet boats. One we were actually just demoing it, like demoing the track, and we had Channel 10 there, like doing a promo on it, and there was 3 corners in the track where you could go around it, or you could just pile of dirt and you could jump the boat over it. And I went, no one had to go, so I'll give it a go. In the first lap I went about half throttle over it. Oh, that's not too bad. Second time, 3/4 throttle over it. Yeah, we're going pretty good here. So the next time I hit it at full toed odds, but I didn't line up straight, and I landed that boat out in the paddock.
Oh, jeez.
And then it headed back to the water, skidding along the thing, and I went, no, and just as we got to the water, I thought I tipped it upside down in the drink, but it's all right. And then when we were actually racing it, we had the throttle stuck wide open. And I went, like, if I get round this corner, I can take the rest of the track wide open. I didn't get around the corner, I clipped the bank and barrel rolled it up the bank. Then it burst into flames. Obviously yourself and because jet boats, they have kind of like a navigator of sorts, don't they, in the passenger seat? Yeah. So I'm glad to make well, both of you made it out, in one piece, which is nice. I actually had my cousin as a navigator, and he said, we're going to wait for the rescue crew. You wait for your like, I'm out of here. Things like Hans devices and stuff, they weren't really a thing at that point, were they? So fireproof suits weren't even in for jet boat racing. Jeez. Back to the sprint cars. You've got quite the operation here, and after a pretty successful season with Callum in the seat, how did you actually come to have the Midland Truck Sales team at all? Like, how did that become a thing? Well, it started out with the Shcatz car, actually. Trevor Reynolds, I ended up buying that off him, and I was just going to do it up and just have it as a show car, or just never race it, never do anything. Then I needed some spare, then I needed a motor, so I ended up buying a motor for it. And then I thought, I'll go and have a drive of the thing. So that was all right. And then so I had a drive, and then we ended up buying another car off Alan Nash just for spare parts for the thing. And then I went, well, this thing's pretty good. We'll put the motor in that. I said to Trevor, do you want to have a go at racing the thing? We'll just go racing. I'm not interested in racing. You want to go? Yeah, I'll be up for that. So we went down to Motorplex and we ran 10 shows the first year, with the 410s down there. And then like coming up to the Cricky boys and went, well, our motor wasn't as good as that. And so that's when I ended up buying the car down there. And we put the 11 degree KRE, we bought a new motor and a new car to do the Cricky boys race, which ended up costing me 90 grand to go and do the race. So then after that, we only ran the 410 another once after that, maybe twice, and then that was the end of the season, and then we decided to bugger the 410s and went into the Sava series with the 360s and ended up buying a KRE and a Maxwell engine for that. Yeah,
but the teams for sure had some success, like in the time that it's been a thing. Obviously, this most recent one was a massive one with Callum in the seat. But you've had previous drivers for this team as well. I only know of one, but can you give me any other names that have driven these cars for you?
No, I've only had Trevor Reynolds in it.
Yep.
And Callum.
Okay, so 2 drivers. How long? When did the Midland Truck Sales team actually start?
3 years ago.
3. Okay. Now the most recent I mean, the whole season was a success, but you took the entire, 2 cars and a full team over to Victoria for nationals, South Australia, pardon me, for 360 nationals, and ran 3rd after, if I remember correctly, a pretty rough first night. If I remember correctly,
we had a rugged first night. Yeah.
With engine troubles, I want to say.
No, the engine was fine. We ran the KRE for the first time in a long time. We just got it back from being freshened up, and we ran that. The engine was fine, no problems with that. But we crashed out in the A main.
All right, but I mean, after all that, night 2 was infinitely more successful and ended up taking 3rd place in the whole thing. I imagine that would probably be pretty high up in the list of accolades this team has had in its time.
Yeah, that's like running international title is a big thing. Like the competition's huge. There's no gimmies in it. Everybody's out to win, and there's some really good cars in there. To get up there, you're messing with the best. And
speaking of the best, you took about one of the best that you can over there with you to drive it. This whole season for Callum has been hugely successful. You rattled off a few wins to start the year. Things kind of tapered off a little bit, and then had like a good run at the state title, which I was with you guys for to film that night. To me, and to maybe to people who like myself aren't exactly in the loop, it was kind of a surprise to see everything go up for sale, which is probably worth mentioning now. This whole operation is basically up for sale. If you don't mind me prying too much, is it just time now? Like what's the motivation to put what has been such a success in the hands of somebody else?
The main reason is it's very, very time consuming, and I want to head in, it's only me that works on the car during the week, so I want to do different things, and it's a lot of work to run at the level we're running at this. You can't just half-ass do it. If you do it, the car just doesn't make the distance. Mm-hmm. So you've got to do it right, and then to do that, it's just a lot of time. And we decided at the start of the season that this would be our last, and we're going to go out and hit it. We threw everything at it, and we're going to do the best we could. That was the motivation.
Yeah, well, no one's going to argue with someone wanting a bit more of their own time, are they? So,
no. With the season, we finished on the podium every round. Every time this car went on the track, it finished on the podium except for one, which was up in Geraldton, and we had an MSD box laid down, and the motor just didn't perform.
That's by anybody's standards an extremely successful season. I actually failed to kind of note that whole podium statistic, that it was only not on there once. And I remember hearing about the Geraldton round. I thought the car got a little bit banged up, but if you say it was an MSD box, then maybe I just have my.
It did get banged. We tore the front end out of it after the finish line. We still finished, but we finished 7th in that event. The first 3 rounds we won, which was Collie.
Which I was there for, yeah.
Pathara and the Motorplex, And then we went to Geraldton for the 4th round and didn't go so good. Then we came back to the Motorplex and had a 3rd after that. And then the next one was the state title in Bunbury, which we had a 2nd. And then after that we went to Murray Bridge for the national title, and where we finished up 3rd there. And then we came back, which was the last Easter Trail, and we had a 2nd in Bunbury and a win at the Motorplex to finish the season out.
Well, no one's going to complain about that. Just a couple more for you. You said that Trevor Reynolds was your driver up until a certain point, and then if my memory serves me correctly, Callum got the call with a double header night where the 360s were also at the Motorplex on the same night as the 410, which was, I believe, his first drive in your Midland Truck Sales car. Was it just, you know, the name and what you had seen him do that he was your guy, or was there anything else there?
What happened was that Trevor had hurt his back and he couldn't even walk, let alone get in the car. He was really bad with his back. So there's no way he could get in the car. When the car was all ready to go, and I said to Karina, my wife, that, well, it's all ready, it's all loaded. So the only person I put in the car was Callum Williamson. And I had never even met Callum at that stage. So I rang up Marlene at SAWA to get Callum's phone number. Got the phone number, I rang Callum, it was about 10 o'clock on the morning of race day. I said, you're interested in driving this car for the thing? I said, he didn't know me, I didn't know him, told him what we had. Got down to the Motorplex, he jumped in, and he never got to even hot lap the car. Never even got the engine started. And the first thing is, he lined up, he'd drawn the balls for starting on the front row in the first heat. Won that by a country mile, and then came back with a 2nd for the 2nd heat, started on the back row and won that from there. And then got out and started the front row start from the feature, and won that by 3/4 of a lap.
Yeah, I think you know, anyone who was at the Motorplex that season has probably got that fresh in their brain, because I think for a lot of us it might have just been the first time that we had either seen the car or at least paid conscious attention to it, just because of who was in, you know, the seat that night. So I think that's pretty well burned in you know, most of our memories, pretty good. And then eventually you gave him the call to run the whole season. Yeah,
he's actually been in the car every time it's been on the track since then. On that night we ran at the Motorplex the first night, he also went out in his 410 and won the heat race and the feature in that. He won every heat race and both feature races in the same night in both divisions, and as far as I'm aware, nobody's ever done that.
Nothing to scoff at by any means. All right, mate, so just before I ask you to kind of take me for a lap around the workshop here, can you just off the top of your head kind of list like, you know, the cars that you do have here and maybe what engines you have for them as well?
Yeah, this car we're actually on here now, this is actually one of Tony Stewart's cars out of the US. Actually all 3 cars are, but one behind us is the Donny Shcatz car, which is owned by Tony Stewart originally as well. And the car we're racing, which is the other one further down the back, that is a Tony Stewart car as well. This one here is, it's actually never turned a lap in Australia. We've set it up as a spare car, we never needed it, so it's never been bent, it's never been raced. And then the Shcatz car, I think they got raced once here in Australia by Trevor. I've had a bit of a drive over at Pathara myself,
yeah.
which is an awesome thing. And then the other car, we've raced the wheels off that one. And the motors we have now, we've only got 360 motors now. We have one KRE and one Maxwell engine.
And you got that the nice looking hauler out the back there too with everything on it as well. So, all right, well, thanks for having a chat with us. I'm going to go and grab my phone and we'll have a little bit of a lap around here and see what we're dealing with close up.
No worries at all.
All right, so here we have the spare car that's never been raced in Australia. I've just been told, never been used. There's everything, you know, seats, belts, everything is in here. But David, you've obviously never needed to, you know, even, I mean, you just told me that there was an engine in it at one point, and now there's not.
Yeah, no, with the engine, we actually had the Maxwell engine in here, so it was actually a complete race-ready car. But we had the KRE engine at practice in June last year. So that motor came back out of the car. Maxwell came out and went straight into the other car we're racing, and we ran that up right up to the Australian title when the KRE went back in.
And it freaking looks like it too. This thing is freaking immaculate. You know, I mean, apart from, you know, a little bit of dust accumulation, which is bound to happen anywhere, but it's just pristine condition. Whoever ends up with this is going to be a very, very happy person. You know, and you know, Dave, you've got like, you know, engines and stuff up for sale as well. So whoever's in the market for them. And oh, actually, I got to point out one thing. I love the fact that, you know, these are, you know, Stewart cars, and they've got the 15 in the font, like of the same like style as what Shcatz has. That's a nice little tip to where they've come from and the history of them, obviously.
The reason that we actually chose 15 as a number is because then we could have a Shcatz car registered as a 15, and that's what it was always been, a 15, that car, and that's why we chose 15.
That makes sense. Now, this might sound like a silly question, but I'm asking it honestly. Was this car used by Shcatz on any of his visits here?
No, not in Australia.
Okay, so
this car was a Knoxville car in America.
Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Which brings us to car number 2, and I think anyone with is some kind of you know, racing history, you know, or even if someone's dove into the history of YouTube videos on previous Knoxville Nationals and stuff like that, they'll recognize the STP car. And I gotta say, mate, like it's pretty cool to see these things, you know, in person. And I can't imagine, even though you're about to potentially hand it off to somebody else, you know, having this as a bit of a trophy piece was pretty special, no?
Yeah, it's a pretty nice car, and when you actually drive the thing, when I got back in that, I hadn't been in a car for 12 years, and I just got out of it and I went, I cannot believe sprint cars are this easy to drive. I don't remember them being this easy. This thing was just railed.
So, I mean, you obviously had to, well, actually, no, did this arrive as a roller?
Yep.
Okay, so there was no engine in it when it arrived, but so you stuffed one in there, but apart from that, ready to race?
Yeah.
That's something. I mean, like, you've got everything. Like it's stickered up, like, you know, from being used in the US. And I mean, has this one got a seat in it? No. No seat in this one. But again, like, you know, wheel.
I did have that seat in it because we were gonna.
Ah, I see. Yep. Okay. So that seat used to belong in this one.
But I've got another seat up there that I had in it myself, another butler that fits me.
Ah, okay. So you had your seat in there. That makes sense.
My seat in it, and then we actually had the KRE 11-degree motor in this for a while. I was going to give that a squirt at one stage. Yeah, that's right. Actually, so the last time we spoke at the Motorplex, you were telling me that like, you know, your plan was to have a bit of a you know, stuff an engine in one of these and have a rip. Is that still in the cards? It is. I'm just deciding whether I can be bothered washing the car again.
Okay, I mean, no, as a very lazy washer of my own car, I definitely do. You know, sort of empathize that the amount of effort and you know, that goes into cleaning the car afterwards, especially if you do it properly, which I often do not, is definitely a deterrent into actually getting in there and driving the thing. But can you tell me again how long it's been since you've been in a car?
I drove this car, it was about 3 years ago now.
Oh, so it was. That's more recent than what I thought it was going to be, actually.
But it wasn't. I didn't race it. I just went up to Pathara and had a skid.
Okay. Yeah.
But when I last raced was, I think it was 2010.
Okay. And now, when you went and had that rip at Pathara, did you have a 360 or a 410 in it at that point?
410.
No, I had a 410. 410 at Pathara. That's no joke. Like, the wrap on this is just pristine. Like, unreal. And I think I remember you telling me before you bought this originally as a trophy car, like just kind of as a bit of a sort of a trophy piece.
Yep, that's all I bought it for. We never ever planned to race it.
Yep.
Because at the time I just restored a Mack truck.
Oh, okay.
And I sort of thought, I put the tray on the back of it, which we've got a small tray that fits on a prime mover. That I thought, if we go to the shows, I'd put this on the back and take it to the shows. But in the end, I sold the Mac and I never took it to a show.
Right. And like, look at this game. Like, I mean, not only is it all still pristine, but like, there it is. Like, Shcatz' name right there on the wing. Like, it's all stickered up. Still got the Outlaw sticker on there. Like, it's you know, it's honestly like it was just pulled off of the track and ran through a time machine, and it's sitting right in front of me. It's ridiculous. And you know, to seeing them, like, you know, a car that belonged to or was driven by a driver with such insane history is and like such a name as well. It's pretty cool to see in the flesh. And once I'm done here, I'm actually going to take a second to, you know, take it all in without my phone in front of me. But this is for you guys at this point. Now, just to kind of reiterate on one thing, these were all Tony Stewart built cars, all three of them.
All three of them. Tony Stewart Racing owned Shcatz drives for Tony Stewart.
Yep, that's right.
So Shcatz drove this car as a Tony Stewart car. The other two cars were actually Tony's own cars that he drove.
Okay, yeah, for reasons unknown, I thought you had 2 Shcatz cars and 1 Stewart car, but it's actually the other way around.
The other way around, yeah.
All right, which brings us to piece number 3, which is this is the actual quote unquote daily, as it were, the one that's done all the work this year in this extremely successful season that the Midland Truck Sales team has had. It's looking as maybe a little dinged up in the wing there, but I mean, it still looks like a friggin' beast. And what is that, the KRE that's in there at the moment? Is that the KRE? Yeah, that's just looking absolutely slick at this point. That's just ridiculous how pretty that looks. And so this thing kind of got put through the ringer this year, didn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. That's actually the same top wing. We've run that top wing for 2 seasons now. It's the same top wing. This car has never been flipped. And it's never had a repair. We've knocked the front end out of it a couple of times. We've had the rear end, we knocked out the bent an arm and a busted bird cage and a couple of bits and pieces like that.
But no chassis damage
no chassis,
at all.
Never had a repair. It's still original as we got it, never been touched.
That's ridiculous. And to get that many seasons out of it and not need something like that is that's I mean, I don't know if you'd call that lucky or a testament to the drivers that were in it, or a combination of everything. But oh, there we go. There's the stickers from the wins this year, which
there's actually one more not on there yet.
Oh, that would be from the last from the Motorplex show. Actually, it's the first one that's on there was from Collie. I drove out there for that show. Made a pretty impressive high side pass on, I believe it was Lancaster. I think during the feature, that was pretty friggin' special to watch. And this is I don't know, man. Red is just such a nasty color. I mean, that's obviously to go with the business, obviously. But how long have you owned Midland Truck Sales for?
Probably 20 years.
Oh, okay, that's a fair bit longer than what I thought. And I mean, not to be corny or anything, but to have your business's name on the top wing of a sprint car is one thing, but to own the car that it sits on, I mean, I think most Speedway fans who maybe don't fantasize about driving, the next thing they'll probably fantasize about is having maybe their business name or their name on a car of some point. So it's all kind of falling together pretty nicely into one nice little package for you there. Yeah,
and it's actually been great. Business has been great with what it's generated with this car being on the track for the business has been huge.
You hear that, people? Sponsorship works.
Yeah, even though the only sponsor on the car is us.
It's you.
But it having the car out there and being as successful as it was, it definitely worked for us.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. And so, is this particular car? I mean, I imagine you might be trying to sell everything as a whole package. But what is the plan for sort of offloading this stuff? Is it a literal team sellout where you're trying to get rid of everything at once, or are you open to letting things go? In if someone wants to buy this car, for example, are you open to that?
Yeah, absolutely open to that. If you want 1 bolt, I'll sell you 1 bolt. We've had a couple of people come in and bought some stuff out of the trailer already. The trailer itself's now been sold, and the motor on the floor here now, which is the Maxwell motor, that has been sold.
Bang. Another absolutely filthy looking piece. That thing is gorgeous. Look at that. Pristine. So, probably now's a good time to ask if someone does want to get in contact with you about, pricing, what's for sale, what you have available. What do you think is the best way to get in contact with you?
Just give me a call on my mobile.
All right, I'll put that on I'll put that on the screen somewhere.
Yep.
In there somewhere.
Yeah. No,
when we get a second.
Just give me a call, and if you want 1 bolt, we'll sell you a bolt. If you want a whole car, we'll sell you a car. But we put a bit of a thing up on our own website page that after the Motorplex on Saturday night, that it's a complete. We've had our fun now, and it's going to be a complete team sellout. And one of the other teams messaged me the next morning, said the motor hasn't even cooled down yet.
Which is damn near the truth. It's That's it happened very, very quickly to, like I said before, maybe myself and the other people who maybe quite aren't in the loop, as it were, came as a bit of a surprise. And I'm not going to lie, a little bit of a disappointment, because it's obviously the cars are still going to be around and racing, but it's kind of going to be a little bit of a shame to not see them in the look and the form that we've kind of come to watch so closely. But I guess that's just the story of every sprint car, isn't it? It's had 1,000 different looks and 1,000 different bums in seats, and it's just time to move on. If you can't give any secrets away, is there something else coming after this, or are you just kind of done? And is there something coming, or is this your kind of a curtain call, as it were?
It's called golf.
Oh, what's your handicap right now?
Turning up.
Okay, well, as a former golf tragic, I strongly support this decision. So, we'll look. I'm excited as anybody else to see this whole operation end up in 1 or 2 or 3 different hands. But only time will tell. But at this point, I'm just kind of happy to be in this workshop, getting a look at some of the stuff that has become so recognizable to us. Especially this past season. Thanks for letting us have a sticky bake, mate. Look, we've got your contact details for if anybody wants to come and hit you up about anything that's up for sale. But what about Midland Truck Sales? Have you got phone numbers and websites and all that kind of stuff for the business?
Yeah. There's a website of Midland Truck Sales. We're on Facebook as well, a Midland Truck Sales Facebook page. There's a Midland Truck Sales Racing Facebook page as well. And yeah, I'm pretty easy to get. The one phone number, I have one phone number, it's my mobile number, that's it.
All right, gang, thank you again for letting us have a look around. I'm going to take a minute now to just kind of really take it all in, and just in case I might not see it again in the form that it's currently sitting. But I'll put all the information for where to call, where to look for websites and for sale details and all that kind of stuff. And Can I assume that you're open to sending stuff elsewhere?
Yeah, no. If you want to buy it in the eastern states, we'll ship it for you.
Okay, eastern states people, maybe want to get that Shcatz card back to its home or something like that. Hit them up, because it's it'd be a shame to see it go, but it'll be good to see it in the hands of maybe someone who will have as much success as what Callum did this year in this one. So, all right, gang, thanks for checking it out. Appreciate it. Till next time. Bye for now.